To the crystal labyrinth of Tzeentch's realm do we return today, to the mountain of truth, where the Raven God twists the fabric of reality itself. His eyes are ever watching, his gaze is infinite, and in this land of nightmares, it will pierce your very soul. The armies of order have come, perhaps very brave, perhaps very foolish, to assail this domain outside time and space, and in response, the mountains are waking up. Kholek Suneater, Herald of the Tempest, and the Hordes of Chaos, teaming up with Kairos Fateweaver and the armies of Tzeentch to beat back these invaders and add some baubles to their lair. The unification of Kislev and the Lizardmen, a tentative alliance born out of necessity, may just have the power and poise to take what they need and get the heck out. They just need to do so before the portals behind them disappear forever. This is not a place you want to find yourselves trapped, and if you do, well, it might be for all eternity. But it will make for quite the spectacle today, because on this epic custom map by Sleepy Lion from the Total Tavern pack, we have a very unique twist on domination. On the borders of this massive arena are additional portals that can be captured by either team and will grant reinforcement points closer to the objectives in the center. Deny your opponent places to spawn their army, force them to march all the way from their own deployment, and you can quickly establish map control. Looking at the length of this replay though, you can imagine it probably won't be that easy. This was a good one, friends. Strap in. We're jumping forward to about 4 minutes into the battle, skip the marching stage and get right into the action, but naturally, I'm going to give you guys a better picture of where everything is, so you have an idea of what the heck is going on. Now, the victory points themselves are all in a single line, cutting right through the center of the map. For some reason, they don't display fully in replays, so if you're ever curious who controls which point, just check the top of the screen. Point 3 is the natural objective for Chaos. Point 1 is the natural objective for Kislev and the Lizardmen. Contested is point number 2 in the middle, and both sides have already established control over the additional spawn areas on the edges of the arena. Order on the western side, Chaos to the east. Now, Kholek and the armies of Tzeentch are already applying a lot of pressure on the Kislevite and Lizardmen left flank. Streltsy, armored Kossars, and a lot of Kislevite infantry moving over the ridge from their spawn point towards the center of the map, and blue fire from both the Chaos Sorcerer of Tzeentch and Kairos Fateweaver raining down from the flank. Knights of Immolation providing some aerial support for Kairos and the Lords of Change, while Katarin, Patriarch, Two Little Groms, and the Umbral Tide setting themselves for the smackdown about to launch their way. Towards the center of the arena, Children of the Old Ones are establishing dominance with a horde of Saurus and Temple Guard, backed up by the King Priest on a Stegodon and Oxyotl, he who hunts unseen. If any lord in Warhammer has the capacity to lead an army into the realms of chaos and survive the ordeal, the Chameleon Skink is probably a pretty damn good candidate. Knights of Immolation took a couple volleys from the Streltsy, so a regrowth from Kairos Fateweaver sent their way. Telostodon Hunters, the Ripper Dactyl ROR, just spawned in the deployment zone for the forces of order, and they're actually hanging out on the ground for the moment. Don't know if they were afraid of being overrun by Kairos and the Doom Knights, but they appear to be safe for the moment. In the middle, it doesn't look like Chaos has anywhere near enough bodies to throw in to take point number 2 yet. It's a Heart of Winter on the Kislevite left flank, ready to hit the Chaos Warriors of Tzeentch and some Marauders. Chaos are looking to overload their right, while Tzeentch only commits a holding force between their natural and the contested point in the center. A bit of skirmishing and thunderbolt tossing from the Soul Grinder. Certainly not enough bodies there to do anything but momentarily hold Lizardmen back. And Heart of Winter pretty much going to delete Chaos Warriors and some Marauders as well. Kairos flying overhead, providing a little bit of support, and a Infernal Gateway from the Chaos Sorcerer of Tzeentch. The Warriors of Chaos Undivided army dropping a big ol' stationary vortex and taking Streltsy even deeper into the realms of chaos. So in these opening stages, capping isn't incredibly important. It's much more about value trading and establishing map control in general. Best way to establish map control is kill your opponent's army. So that's what the focus is going to be for the early stages of this battle. Katarin and the Patriarch doing a great job chasing off the Chaos Halberds, while the Knights of Immolation drop their little bird poops and absolutely eviscerate some poor Streltsy. Now, Streltsy don't have great melee stats, so when the Knights of Immolation descend upon their Domeskis, it's going to get pretty ugly pretty fast. A lot of the firepower for the Kislev is going to have a little bit of difficulty moving out of their spawn and firing, because of the ridges that are right outside their deployment zone. It will block line of sight as they come in, so they first have to ascend that hill before they are able to fire. Chaos will try and exploit that weakness by overloading this flank alongside Kholek and the Summoners of Rage. Downside being Bear Riders and any of the big scary mobile units will be breathing down their necks the second they spawn in. So, bit of a trade-off there. Chaos feels safe enough to engage because of that ridgeline. They can't get shot when the Streltsy and other stuff come in, but always dangerous when you're investing tons of troops so close to an enemy's deployment zone. Kairos also taking a deluge of fire from the Streltsy and armored Kossars. Regrowth will heal him back to full, and Lizardmen looking very strong in the center on top of the Chosen with great weapons and some Temple Guard. A Stegodon should be more than enough to deal with these elite infantry, and that could be throwing good money after bad if Chaos decides to send some more troops that way. Star Crusher, rising and falling, beating their asses like a conga drum. Those poor armored Kossars neck deep in elite Chaos infantry. They're not going to be able to hold on for too much longer. Colossadon Hunters, remember they have that innate bonus versus large. Unlike regular Ripperdactyl units, they can pretty much engage anything, activate their Toad Rage. They get insane attack stats, but not particularly survivable. So pretty much the quintessential Lizardmen glass cannon. They will die super fast, they will kill super fast. Blue Fires of Tzeentch sent their way, not a bad way to take out some of their models and begin lowering their HP. Not too much healing on the Forces of Order side. They do not have a Rev Crystal yet anyway. I think the Patriarch and Selyak's Lullaby, probably the only option they have on that front. An Arcane Tempest about to rain down from the Lord of Change. Third tier army ability for Tzeentch, while the Chosen with great weapons engage the Temple Guard and are about to get hammered and anviled by a bunch of Kossovite Dervishes and a Stegodon. So yeah, extremely expensive elite Chaos infantry kind of thrown to the wolves here. That'll be a waste of money and a really nice pick from the Forces of Order, getting those off the field. Gorgeously executed hammer and anvil, and Lizardmen looking very strong over on this side, might be able to capture Chaos's natural. Chaos is making a lot of headway over on this side though. Many units of Streltsy have already been run down by the Summoners of Rage. Lizardmen are having to commit a lot of their heavy cavalry to push back this tide, but you don't really want to be sending even heavy Spear Riders into engagements against Summoners of Rage and Kholek Suneater, who is marching his way over and about to zone out those Umbral Tide Salamander hunting pack. Getting some good shots in for the moment. Very close to that spawn point now, about as close as you could possibly get, but nothing at the moment can deal with Kholek. Kind of has free reign over on this side to just beat the brakes out of the Lizardmen for now. We'll see if Kislev has something up their sleeve on that front. Colossadon Hunters might want to make their way over, because that bonus versus large, getting a full surround off on extremely expensive single entities, could be just what the Doctor ordered. Chaos Spawn and the armies of Tzeentch teaming up to take down yet more armored Kossars and Streltsy over on that hilltop. And it looks like Chaos is beginning to think about making a push towards their natural. There is a 2-to-1 cap in favor of the Forces of Order, who have objective number 1 and objective number 2, currently about 150 points ahead. But here come the Oath Brothers of Tor, channeling the energies of Meow Meow. Whosoever holds these spears, if they be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor and polar bears. But they've been thrown to the meat grinder against one of the scariest AP bonus versus large combos in the game. The Might of Mountains, Kholek and his summoners, the mightiest dragon ogres of an age. That is a tall hill to climb for even the Oath Brothers, and they are quickly going to find themselves overwhelmed. They will drop a lightning bombardment, but they do not have enough support here. Kossovite Dervishes desperately trying to come to their defense, but it was way too much. They got a lot of value there. The issue is Chaos has access to healing, and Kairos is going to prove his worth here because he is playing more of a support role this battle. He has regrowth, and he can send it Kholek's way. Very weird thing about that engagement though, they did not have their By Our Blood passive. They did not turn unbreakable, and I don't know if it's because they came in from a reinforcement point and that somehow changes what their traits are, or if that was just a bug, or if they've never had it, but I'm pretty sure every single Kislevite unit has By Our Blood, so I don't know why those bears weren't unbreakable when they charged in. That was pretty strange. Really important fight in the midst of brewing here though. Infernal Gateway to delete some Feral Cold Ones and A lot of skink infantry over on that side. Kholek finds himself surrounded by a Snow Leopard, by Katarin, by the Patriarch, and the remainder of those Oath Brothers of Tor, which finally just shattered. Knights of Immolation are coming in to support, but Kholek normally doesn't have access to any healing whatsoever on the Warriors of Chaos roster, can get regrowth by Kairos Fateweaver, and that is just a huge game-changing ability, because single entity monsters, if you can heal them, they can put in insane amounts of work for you. And right now, Kholek, who's already spearheaded the assault on the Kislev and Lizardmen deployment zone, is going to be able to survive a situation that he normally would not have been able to. He survived a Heart of Winter there, and War Bear Riders that would have normally probably been able to at least get him routing off towards the edges of the map. Knights of Immolation diving into the back line against Skink Cohort and Skink Skirmishers. A lot of these Javelin and Blowpipe units going to be shut down by what is arguably the preeminent squadron of flying tank lords in Warhammer 3. Very unique amongst flyers in that they have crazy good defense and stats, quite unlike the Riperdactyls in their survivability, but of course giving up some in the realm of pure DPS. For this kind of role, especially in a 2v2 on a big battlefield, they can really shine. Chaos Spawn marching their way out of spawn. Knights of the Severed Claw, Elite Halberds for Tzeentch find themselves surrounded by Temple Guard, may not survive for too much longer. Snagadon routing off, Cold-Blooded no longer heals, don't think it has healed since Warhammer 1 days. And Kholek Suneater finding himself on top of a Little Grom cannon, and with one more swing from Star Crusher, will bring the hammer, bring the ruckus, and explode some artillery. Kislev losing a bit of their firepower there, although to be fair, Little Groms have put in a lot of work this game and they fired almost all their ammunition, so not the worst thing in the world to have that go back to your reinforcement point and potentially get to summon it again. But right now, I think they should be focusing on capturing, which means more infantry. Infantry is always going to be the meta for domination. You need a lot of it because you need to capture points. There's been a good mix of troop choices thus far, and pretty much all the really depleted stuff on the edges of the map that routed should start getting resummoned so players don't run out of stuff to reinforce with. Gotta make sure it gets sent back to your pool so you can summon it once more. Kholek with his Tempest Rage activated, wading in amongst a horde of Kislevite troops, up to 3,500 damage value already, and we're only about halfway through this battle. Snow Leopard and some Chaos Spawns surrounding, diving into the rear, finishing off the Umbral Tide alongside that Chaos Sorcerer of Tzeentch, and with the 2-to-1 cap, there is a big lead on the Forces of Order. They've got 1,100 points, and the Forces of Chaos haven't quite scratched 600 yet, but they are winning on value at the moment. Flying Taco at 9,500 damage value, Indie Pride, myself, at about 12,000, Solo Spaghetto up to about 11,400, and Slow Jira at 10,000. So pretty even spread across the board. Now we're moving into the second stage of this battle to figure out who has enough to reinforce with and start commanding those points, because this is really where you need to start capping. Up to this point, it's been about killing, establishing control. Now it is about capturing objectives. Chaos Sorcerer continues to be incredibly annoying with those blue fires of Tzeentch, slamming into the flank of the Streltsy and killing 12, 15, 20 models, dealing good HP damage. Colossadon Hunters with their bonus versus large, chasing after the Knights of Immolation, and could probably kill them off if they were able to capture them. Another Infernal Gateway on the Streltsy, again putting immense amount of pressure on the back line for Kislev and the Lizardmen. These vortexes and these dive bombs from the Knights of Immolation have kept those range units on their toes. Here come the Oath Brothers of Tor once more. Pretty mad about how that first engagement went. They're back into the thick of it again, and they want revengeance on Kholek Suneater, alongside some Spear Riders and Cold Ones coming out of spawn. But Tzeentch has a nice firing line here. Pink and Blue Horrors, Chaos Spawn with their Armor Sundering are right there. Tempest Rage activated on Kholek, and another big-time bombardment from the Oath Brothers of Tor. But Kholek is able to escape the situation. More importantly, he has had another regrowth from Kairos Fateweaver sent his way. That will get him at least back to a third HP, maybe closer to half. And I think the Oath Brothers of Tor are overcommitting they're going to have to peel off, because if they stick in this fight against armor-piercing Chaos Warriors with great weapons and all this pink horror fire, it could get really bad for them. So they are going to move off. They're going to be able to survive and maybe have a Salyak's Lullaby sent their way from the Patriarch if he's still around. Soul Grinder of Tzeentch is going to die, perhaps to Tzeentch's own bombardment, but just as planned, it was worth it, because this is going to eviscerate a huge section of the Lizardmen infantry, and blue fire pouring in for good measure from those flamers of Tzeentch. That was an absolutely disgusting engagement, and there is pretty much nothing left over on that side. Flying Taco with the nasty single entity bait and a big time bombardment to seal the deal. But a decent fight coming out of spawn from Kislev, Oath Brothers of Tor, finishing off a whole section of Chaos Spawn and Screamers of Tzeentch. Crucified Dervishes providing a little bit more meat, a few more bodies in the grinder itself, and a lot of crumbling, disintegrating on the demonic side. Kholek has marched his way all the way towards the natural, and it looks like the Forces of Chaos have secured a 2-to-1. It is 1,300 to 900 at the moment, so still a sizable lead for Order, but they're working on a triple cap now, because they've had control of the Order natural pretty much since that first initial engagement and push into their spawn. The Lizardmen countered that with a capture of the Chaos natural, but now it is a triple cap in favor of Chaos, and we're going to see that lead begin to dwindle here. 1359, that value will not go up until they are able to capture yet another point. So if Chaos can hold on here, they are going to win, and in relatively short order. Order has to do something. And that's where the dynamism of this kind of map design comes in, because it's not just about blocking them in their spawn. Now, players have to worry about the side objectives as well, because even though those don't give you any points, they do give you another spot from which to reinforce the battlefield and quickly put pressure on your opponent's natural. So we're going to see if Order can get a big mass of infantry and cav and take back what is theirs. They've been dominant, at least on points, for quite a while here, but in terms of value trading, probably a slight advantage in favor of the Forces of Chaos. And this is a hopeless fight in their spawn. With Star Crusher, Tempest Rage activated, Kholek is going to be a world beater. There's way too many bodies, way too many elite infantry units for Chaos. Order cannot push through all this, so don't summon anything there. Go to the side objective and then make a push towards point number 3 and point number 2, the contested in the center. If they're able to secure either one of those, but especially both, they've got a good shot to win it. They're looking a little thin here. Oxyotl basically YOLOing onto the point by himself to engage some Marauders. Chaos Infantry will try to keep all of the Lizardmen swarming from getting onto that objective. And this is just a brutal massacre on this side. Yeah, if you're Kislev, you really don't want to reinforce from this point anymore. There's just way too many bodies on this side, but still a couple more units are coming out, and I guess they need to capture point number 3, but I just don't think they can do it. So I think the right play here is just come out of that side objective, which is what Gojira and the Lizardmen are doing at the moment. Streltsy gonna get some good shots in on Kairos, but they're just food. Screamers and the rest of this mobile force are gonna dive in and finish off the rest of these troops. And Kislev is, well, they're on the back foot now for sure. Demons descending, they're on their home turf. Raven God is cackling above, his sinister gaze smiling down upon this brutality. And the Forces of Order must hope that this sacrifice was not in vain. Oracle of Eternity, dropping some crazy ass spells in there. Lightning raining down from above. And over on this side, Chaos coming out of their spawn and ensuring that only a single cap will go the way of Order. And not even sure that's going to be able to be secured. At the moment, it is still a triple cap. 1475. It's too much. Chaos is going to win this one. The full surround off on Saurus and Temple Guard. Kholek Suneater put in just insane amounts of work this game. And I can't say it enough. The synergy between the Lords and Heroes on the Chaos side was pretty impressive that game. Kholek, of course, is always a world beater when he's able to take the right engagements. especially if he's fighting something that's large and expensive and armored, like the Oath Brothers of Tor. He can rack up crazy value, but he would not have been able to do half of what he did this battle without the support from Kairos, the Blue Fires, but especially the Regross, which of course is not a spell that Chaos normally has access to, and the Screamers for Flying Taco. Crazy, all about 1200 value, but 4200 on Kholek, and he was really the Vanguard. He was the main DPS, the main killer for the Chaos side. But again, if he's not getting the support from Kairos, he's not able to do that. So, a lot of synergy there. Also with the Chaos Sorcerer on Lore of Tzeentch, dropping in the Blue Fires and the Infernal Gateways on the Streltsy and the range troops in the rear, makes it very difficult if you're Kislev, which is relying on a lot of that armor-piercing fire from long range to deal with those single entities. If they're all getting deleted by vortexes and magic missiles from the flank, it makes it really hard. I think the biggest factor for the Forces of Order that battle was the hilltop that's right outside their deployment zone. It makes it really difficult for the Streltsy and the Little Groms to get the volleys in that are required because they have to ascend over the top of that to get line of sight. And that meant that a lot of the time they weren't quite firing when they needed to be. But without that hill, I think it probably could have been an entirely different game, and it got really close at the end anyway. Really enjoyable. Hope you guys had fun with it. See you all in the next one.